Thank you for joining me with my video on school-wide expectations. I'm excited to offer this information to you because developing school-wide expectations is the basis for school-wide discipline, school-wide behavioral control, and even school-wide behavioral development. Schools who do not have defined, very well defined, and then trained and lastly implemented school-wide expectations will suffer what many institutions suffer with relying on threats, punishments, and fear as being the driver of motivation. In reality, people are much more motivated based on incentives, based on rewards or positive reinforcers. But even before you can establish what those reinforcers are, to motivate people to make choices for positive behavior and to avoid people making bad choices or unhealthy choices, which would lead to inappropriate or negligent behavior. Before you can establish that, you have to think about what are you targeting? What is it that you want to achieve? And we can then build a process on how to get there. Here's the key. When you look at a school manual, when you go into the school code of conduct, very commonly in the United States, you can find the school code of conduct in the beginning, in the front of a homework planner. So you get a assignment book, homework planner, agenda book. There's a number of names for it. But basically, it's a basic book that outlines the structure of what your classes would be, that you would record your homework. Typically in the United States, we have in the beginning a list of the school code of conduct. When you look at the school code of conduct, sadly and unfortunately, many leaders of these school environments believe that you can change, manipulate, and develop people's behavior based on telling people what not to do. Most school codes of conduct that are listed list all the behaviors that are unacceptable and what happens if you commit and you're not meeting the demands or expectations of the school code of conduct. Therefore, people who are trying to learn how to develop themselves on a continuum as they grow, each year maturing to make better and healthier decisions, really don't know what to do. They just know what they're supposed to avoid. For example, it's very common that with school codes of conduct that we will suggest that children are not allowed to run in the hallway. When in fact, it's true that you shouldn't be running in the hallway. However, what happens if a man or a person came in with an assault rifle and everyone had to take off running to save their lives? Let's say in the hallway, you have a teacher telling you, come on, you got to get in the classroom, the bell's about to ring, and people start hustling to get into that room, and the only reason why they were running late is because they couldn't get their locker open. So technically, when someone offends the school code of conduct, they're supposed to be held accountable to the school code of conduct, which would then lead to a penalty. What we want to do responsibly is develop school-wide expectations that are based on what is it that you wish to develop as a status quo, or another way of saying that are the norms of social behavior, of appropriate etiquette, and using healthy decision-making tools in order for people to conduct themselves while they're in the institution. So the institution for schools is a learning experience. An institution for maybe someone else's occupation could be a corporate setting. An institution maybe for something like a hospital would be a large medical building. No matter what the institution, no matter what the structure, we always want to set the expectations so people know what we want them to achieve. So what does that mean? I use 3 school-wide expectations worldwide. The number 1 expectation is being safe. Almost anything could fall under being safe. You know, someone running down the hallway, instead of telling them there's no running down the hallway, we would want to tell them that we wish for them to walk down the hallway so that they would walk down the hallway safely. Let me give you number 2, being respectful. When students are respectful, they're showing appropriate etiquette towards others that is sincere and genuine and allows people to be able to cohabitate in their institution without stress. The last one would be responsible. We want people to be responsible, and by being responsible, they are conducting themselves in an appropriate manner so that their mannerisms are in fact healthy and with sincere effort. When you think of safe, respectful, and responsible, we're thinking about the navigational tools we're giving people to conduct their lives as they get older. So you can always think of the trajectory as they're maturing, so that if they're safe and they are respectful and they are responsible, that they will learn to then be independent people. And with those types of choices, they will not only be gainfully educated, but one day they will also be gainfully employed. Now, why is it that we don't explain what we expect of children as they're developing as being expectations? And the reason why is the old school rule of thought is to use punishers for people to get them to know and fear what they shouldn't be doing. And this makes sense to me. When's the last time you've been pulled over by a police officer who has told you what a great job you're doing driving from this traffic light to this traffic light? Like, people are not grabbing other people, reminding them of how magnificent they are, how well they performed, for the most part. However, that in fact can happen and can be done. But the only way we're going to be able to reinforce those behaviors is if we identify the behaviors that we wish people to achieve. Now, by listing in the school code of conduct the rules is fine. Just like we have certain laws that say, hey, if you drink and drive, you're going to lose your license for 6 months. If you drink and drive and you're under prescription medication with a combination of alcohol, that you're probably going to end up overnight, at least in jail. So there are certain types of violations that people can commit where they can expect certain types of negative outcomes. But when we focus on school-wide expectations, really what we're saying is, I want to groom you to be able to perform this way as you mature so that you will be a healthier person who has wellness, resilience, and immunity, who is healthy by being safe, respectful, and responsible, who is educated, who can learn to be independent without needing a team of people guiding them because they have higher functioning frontal lobes, or we call prefrontal cortex, where they can make these great choices. Now, as much as I make it sound so logical, it doesn't always come across that easy for people. And why isn't it so easy? Because to me, it really is easy. You identify your school-wide expectations, you train everyone on them, and you implement them. It's because the large part of the world is just used to telling developing people, you better not act this way, because if you do, this is the negative thing that's going to happen as a result. A plus B equals C. Antecedent behavior consequence, right? So if this happens, you better not act this way because this is what the outcome is going to be. Let's change that. I do this for a living. I'm in schools all over the planet, constantly building school-wide models, and being safe, being respectful, and being responsible is an easy way to start. All right, so within the confines of those 3 expectations, the reason why we say school-wide is because we expect that in academic and non-academic areas, the hallway as well as the classroom, the lunchroom as well as the gymnasium. When we're looking to support those 3 school-wide expectations, they encompass a ton of behaviors. They encompass a ton of performance modalities. They encompass a lot of functionality. Now, when we're training people, we want to train our children. We want to train our students. You can do this in a multitude of ways. By identifying them, we want people to hear these expectations over and over and over. This can't be a one-day training for 15 minutes at the beginning of the year and you never talk about it again. Everyone knows in my wheelhouse That is not enough. That's not how we do things. We don't change behavior, nor do we develop it appropriately or with efficacy if we're doing a 15-minute training and not approaching or revisiting it until this same time next year. Number 2 is we want to catch people doing the right thing. If I see someone demonstrating an act of safety or an act of respect or an act of being responsible, I want to catch them doing the right thing, bring it to their attention. Like, hey, Johnny, I want to thank you for walking in the hallway. Because as you know, in this school, we are hallway walkers. We want to bring it to their attention that it is a global expectation. And Johnny, you yourself achieved this because this is what we expect of people. And you did a great job achieving that very specific outlined or defined school-wide expectation. Susie, you did a great job raising your hand because as you know, we in our institution, in our school, we are hand raisers. And we also know that it is respectful to raise your hand, which is why I love the fact that you raised yours because you were demonstrating being responsible and respectful. Thank you for that. When we catch people doing the right thing and we're reminding them, we're verbally reinforcing in a very positive way those expectations. They resonate among all the people in the institution because when other people see some people demonstrating the expectations and being verbally acknowledged for it, for the good thing, not being nailed for the bad thing, not being caught and lit up doing something wrong. They're actually being caught and being presented among others as doing something that can in fact be glorified, that can be meant to be to feel special. So in our identification of your 3 school-wide expectations, you have to think is what is important to your institution. I like safe, I like respectful and responsible. You can decide of your own. Number 2, a lot of behaviors have to fall into those categories. I'm going to get into those on another video, so keep watching my videos. And then we want to train everybody. How do you train them? Well, we use in different classes examples. So not only catching people, we can model it. As a teacher, I can show them, hey, when we walk into the class, it needs to look like this. And we show them, you walk in slow, your hands and body parts are to yourself, you go directly to your seat, you sit down, your hands and body parts are to yourself, you immediately open your book bag, you take out your book that is appropriate for the class, and you wait for the teacher to give instruction. So we want to model it is an easy way. Another way is we can use YouTube videos, showing people how other people do it. Saying, look at this guy, look how safe he was, look how responsible, respectful he is. Using those visual examples go a long way because people are now being trained on how to do this. We ask people, children, hey, could you show me what it looks like? Go up to the door, show me, Johnny, how you walk in, go to your seat without talking to anybody so you're not disrupting the room. Because I love it when you walk in responsibly. Show me how you walk down the hallway and demonstrate being a safe person in our hallways. When we use this language, what you'll notice is I'm telling people what to do. I'm not telling them what not to do. People are more willing to listen to information when it's about what to do. The second you start telling people what not to do, it turns them off. Now, you may say, listen, but that's life. People are going to have to get used to that, and I agree with you. But as they're developing and their frontal lobes take until at least 25 to 28 years old to get there, we need their cooperation in the meantime. We need to incentivize things by just making people feel special for doing what they're supposed to be doing. So let's go back to the beginning. We identify 3 school-wide expectations. We want to train people on it. So how do we do it? We model it. We use people as positive example. We catch them doing the right thing. We ask them to model it back. We have students train other students. This is one of my favorite ways of doing it. We call them ambassadors of the 3 school-wide expectations. We put 3 questions at the end of a test. Name A, B, and C. At the end of the test, if you can name the 3 school-wide expectations, you get 5 extra points. If you can give me a paragraph using 1 school-wide expectation and how it could be implemented or demonstrated appropriately, I'll give you 5 extra points on the end of that test. If you could come in with a poster that demonstrates 3 expectations or demonstrate one of the expectations with a scenario or a visual, I'll give you a couple extra points in your next test. Send an email home to your parent saying how proud we are of you. We want to use these ideas to reinforce, to motivate people to want to continue with the expectations. So it improves, it motivates, it sustains, it continues to grow and develop people's healthy decision making, people's healthy frontal lobe development, people's sustained development of maturity. This is what we're looking for when we talk about school-wide expectations. What is the opposite? School punishers. Do we still use those? The answer is yes. Another video is going to tell you how to split and discriminate between school-wide expectations and school-wide punishments that are in your school code of conduct. But for right now, I want you to think about, what do you want your students to do? Where do you want them to go? What does that trajectory look like? How are you going to get them there? Because when you put your expectations together, those are the tools that they will develop for the long term while you're reinforcing their decision making in the short term. Thank you for listening to this video. I hope it was helpful, and please be a school-wide expectation developer so we can make a difference in today's youth. Thank you, and God bless.